That's good. Are you ready for our study today? I'm pretty excited as well. Please get comfortable. I'm just going to sanitize my hands real quick. Right. Did you get in okay? Yeah. Absolutely gorgeous day we have, don't we? Looks like spring may finally be on the horizon yet. Though, then again, February is generally our snowiest month, so you never know. There we are. So, my name is Dr. Calliope, and I'm going to be performing our examination for our study on you today, right? Now let me just grab my notes. Alrighty. Do you mind just confirming your name for me? Excellent. And your date of birth? Okay. And do you happen to have your ID number on you for this study? Okay. Give me just a moment then, and I'll look up our list. All right, excellent. So, is the name you gave me, is that your preferred name? And how do you like to be addressed? Excellent. Very good. Okay. So, it looks like there are no contraindications to our procedure today from your medical history that we have here. Is there anything that you need to add to the medical history that you had submitted to us? Okay, it's all correct and up to date. Very good. And no current conditions or illnesses? Okay. The main one we look out for is any sort of skin condition, infection. Those are our main points of contraindication. And it looks like you are not allergic to latex, is that correct? Very good, yeah. We use nitrile, however, some of the nitrile has a touch of latex in it. We want to be on the safe side with that, okay? Alright, so let me put this down. So for our study today, we are going to be conducting a full palpation examination. Palpation is one of the main diagnostic methods used to ascertain a person's condition and look for any possible disease or illness, right? Yeah, so it's going to be very simple. Now, with some people that are a little touch averse, it may seem invasive, so I want to be upfront. I'll tell you where my hands are going to be, what I'm doing the whole time, okay? All right, so lastly, I'd just like to ask your permission Is it okay that I touch you? Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to pop on a pair of gloves. Standard sanitary practice. And then we are going to begin, okay? My gloved hands here, and I am just going to be palpating pretty much all over. I'll tell you where I'm going, what I'm doing, like I had said before, okay? Alright, any questions before we begin? Alright, very good. You just let me know, and let me know if you experience any pain or discomfort, okay? Alrighty, so we're gonna start right here. This is the standard part of palpation and a general examination, like a comprehensive physical head to toe assessment. We start right here at the hairline. Now, when we are looking at the hairline, we gently separate the hair just a bit so that we can look at the skin of the scalp. There are a lot of conditions that favor the hairline specifically that we can see just by examining this little area and palpating right here. Okay. Any pain or tenderness when I do this? Okay, very good. So we do a little bit of bilateral palpation. Okay. Right, I'm just going to get a bit closer. Okay, from the hairline, we come in around the ear here. We work through the whole hairline along your head. Right here. Okay. We come along here as well to the other side. Okay. Very good. And then we want to go towards the back and feel the back. Now, as this is primarily a palpation examination, I don't necessarily need to see all the areas unless, of course, I feel something out of the ordinary. And then, of course, I would take a closer look. I'm not going to let you leave here if there's something obviously untoward happening with your health. Okay. And then we'll move on really getting into the scalp. I'm just going to palpate along the scalp, feeling the different ridges and contours. There we go. Feeling for any soft spots or hard lumps, bumps, things of that nature. Just using a little walking motion here for my exploratory palpation. Doing okay so far? Okay. Just want to make sure. This is almost going to feel like shampooing like measure. Just gonna take a little break there. It's hard to keep your hands above your head for a while. Okay. Alright, so now we can move down to the face here. Alright, so let's see. We'll just start with the forehead here. Gently palpating. Feels almost like a massage a bit. Just look around your nose here. Just taking a little peek. Right here. Right below your nose there. Right here. Around the mouth and the chin area here. Over along the cheek, along the jaw. Good. I'm just going to have a little peek around your ears. Okay. Just going to be feeling around the ear. Oh, that's just pulling that back. Checking behind. This ear as well. It's going to be pulling behind, looking behind the ear. Alright, very good. If you wouldn't mind just pulling your chin up for me so I can look underneath. Okay. Just going to. There we go, that's a little better. Okay, just feeling around. Particularly here, we look for distension in the lymph nodes. It's where your submental and submandibular nodes are. Go ahead and duck your chin again. We feel where the head meets the neck. Out here. Again, more lymph node spots primarily. Different cervical chain nodes along the neck here. We have the strong muscles like the sternocleidomastoid. We also have the cartilage right here, right in front. And right in front of your throat, thyroid area. Feel for any swelling, any lumps. Moving down, we come down to the supraclavicular nodes here. We feel along the clavicle, along the shoulder. Feeling for symmetry, any inconsistencies. Human body is really a very wonderful thing. However, there are all sorts of things that can get a little goofy, a little lost in translation. For example, it's not super noticeable if you feel it, but one of my clavicles sticks up above my shoulder while the other one does not. That one it's a little strange. It's fun to point out to people though. You know, they run their hands along it and they're like, okay, that's a weird one. But everybody's got just these odd little mistranslations on their body, whether it is a goofy toe or maybe a finger that's longer than its partner on the opposite hand. Sometimes one arm is longer than the other. It's very strange how just these minor little things make up our body. Okay, so now I'm going to start on one side. I'm going to feel around the shoulder here. Any pain or tenderness in this? Okay. I'm going to work down along the arm muscles. It's a pretty good sized bicep you have there. Down to the elbow. Feel around both the cubital fossa as well as the actual bony part. Okay, and then we work down, working our way down the radius and ulna. Radius runs along the thumb side, with your ulna on the opposite. Good muscle tone here. Okay, let's go ahead and see your hands, okay? So I'm just going to feel palm. I'm going to feel each phalange. Isn't that an interesting word? Phalange. Phalange. Almost sounds like a food, like high-end sort of food. I suppose that's because it sounds similar to fillet. Phalange. All those different little words. Ancient words. Isn't that so interesting that we have so many words for everything, really. English in particular. I believe it's supposed to be one of the most expressive languages, particularly with adjectives. But isn't that so interesting that words that were said thousands of years ago still live on today and are regarded as more fancier words? It's more scientific, more specific. Right, just feeling and down your metacarpals to the carpal bones, aka your wrist. Okay, and now I'm just going to be switching to the other side. So I'm just going to feel along your shoulder here. Any pain or tenderness in this? Okay, very good. And then we work down the arm. Usually what I'm feeling for in the arm tends to be more for, again, skin conditions. It's a real strange sight if all of a sudden you have a lump in your arm. It's not usually what we're looking for. You certainly do not have lumpy upper arms, in case you were wondering. Skin has a touch of texture, yours doesn't. Elbow here. This is oftentimes where we find signs of psoriasis. Also, it tends to be a hot spot for all sorts of skin conditions. It's one of those more neglected areas. And then we move down along the arm. Radius side. And then the ulna side of the arm. And then we get to the hand once again. Feel around the fleshy parts of the palm, more bulky areas of muscle. We feel the phalanges, their joints. Looking primarily for signs of swelling, joint inflammation. Texture changes a little bit. And we have the knuckles here. And down the metacarpals. And down to the big carpal itself, the wrist. Alright, if you wouldn't mind just lifting your arms up for me, I want to feel underneath your arm. Again, tons of lymph nodes in this area. I want to see if there's any swelling, anything of that sort. If you wouldn't mind, you don't have to lift up both of them at the same time. Would you go ahead and just do one? There we go. And let me just feel around here. Okay. Any tenderness with this? Okay. Right, and the other arm. Okay, you can drop the other one. Don't have to hold both up. Drop them down. Alright, now I just want to feel around your sternum a little bit. Okay? One of my absolute favorite names is on the sternum. There's a tiny little part of the sternum at the bottom, shaped like a little triangle. It's called the xiphoid process. Just say that with me. Xiphoid process. What a name. Xiphoid process. It was always my favorite. I started learning names of bones. Xiphoid process was my particular favorite. Most people couldn't remember how to spell it, but just xiphoid. 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 I love a good X in words. X is exciting, isn't it? All the more exciting words have an X in them. Okay. And now I'm just going to be putting my hand around your heart area right here. And with this particular method of palpation, we feel for heaves and thrills, which are palpable heart murmurs, and we can feel the apex beat, but I'll get to that in a moment. Okay. Use all parts of the hand, the fingers, the heel of the hand, the whole palm. Okay, and if we go to the mid-clavicular line, and then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces down, 5 intercostals. Then we reach the apex beat right here. We just feel around there. Okay. Intercostals was another one of those particular little bits of anatomy that I enjoyed, particularly because I have a habit of injuring and or pulling intercostal muscles, and it was just very interesting to say, you know, when I would bend one way and then kind of gasp at it, and someone asks, well, what's wrong with you? And you said, pulled an intercostal. I gotta look at you. Alrighty then. I don't know. It's strange. It's a little weird. I've almost got you held hostage here with this, don't I? Hand on your heart and telling you very odd stories. But gotta pass the time somehow. Alright. Now let's move down to the abdomen. So I do 2 different types of palpation here. We do a light pressure and then a firm pressure, okay? Or, well, kind of firm and deep, I suppose I should say. Now, I want you to let me know if there's any pain or tenderness in this, okay? So, I'll let you know what pressure I'm doing. I will warn you the deep pressure tends to be a little uncomfortable, okay? Doesn't take too long, though. So, first we start with the lighter pressure. Okay, and I just press in, and this is another one of my favorites. There's a lot of favorites in anatomy, but this one, it's a very existential sort of realization that while ideally you should never be able to see your organs, it'd be a very bad time if you did, that you can actually feel the organs. You feel the ridges, where they start, where they stop. You can feel your liver, your intestines, all these different things just by pressing in a little bit on your stomach, where you don't have that bony prison, the bony cage of your rib cage guarding it. just have this soft area where you can feel what's going on inside you, and that's quite, again, existential. It's a very strange sort of realization. And then we get into the deeper pressure, and I use 2 hands to palpate along the ridges and contours. Again, I want you to let me know if you feel any pain or discomfort. So, I want you to just keep breathing through this one, okay? Alright, let's go. Okay. So working my way through the 9 different areas of the abdomen. Okay, just working my way through. Just keep breathing through it. It'll be over before you know it. Again, it's one of those things that's a little uncomfortable to have someone play around and displace your organs. And I mean that in the least horror movie way possible. I promise. It's just medical. Okay, and we're done. We're done with that one. So you can take a moment, feel your organs kind of rearrange themselves a little bit as well. Isn't that fascinating as well? That your organs just kind of do what they do, move of their own accord to a point. You know, they can make room, specifically with those who can carry children. Their organs can move around in order to make space. It's very, very interesting. There's a reason I like doing this. Now, I'm going to get back a little bit. I'm going to give you some space, okay? And we're going to feel the little lymph nodes right below your stomach, okay? So, just going to feel a little bit. Again, just mostly feeling for distension. Okay? And then that's it. Now we'll move on to the hip here. So, just let me know if there's any pain or discomfort in this. And besides the xiphoid process, one of my other favorite bones is the pelvis. It almost looks, in a very morbid sort of way, like a skate park. And I only mean that by the iliac crest, right? Just the very, very wide, almost like a butterfly, right? Perhaps that was better to describe it than a skate park. Maybe we should scratch that from the record. It's just all very fascinating. Okay, now I'm just going to feel down from the hip along the leg. The IT band here. Big, powerful muscles, adductors, abductors. Legs are powerful and fierce things. Okay. Down to the knee. Right? Any pain or tenderness when I come to the knee? Okay. And I'm going to feel behind your knee. Okay. I feel that pulse. Okay. And then we come down to the shins, tibia, and the fibula. I was younger, I oftentimes got those mixed up. It said tibula and fibia. Tibia and fibula. They're so close. Right, I'm not seeing any changes in the skin here. Legs don't tend to house a lot of issues, save for skin-wise is usually the most obvious. Okay, and then we move down to the feet. Okay, really go down along the ankle, and then we work down the metatarsals. And we get to the tiny, tiny little phalanges at the bottom. Toes. We think that we don't need them, but their job is one of the most important of all, to keep us upright and balanced. Okay, and we come back up. Right. Now let's work on the other leg. So we start with the hip. Feel around that iliac bone. Iliac crest. Okay, and then we come down along the leg, the femur. Wonder if when these bones got their names, ancient times to more modern times, whoever came up with the name thought, yes, that name slaps. It's going to stand the test of time, I tell you. It's interesting, the things that stand the test of time continue to endure. This is quickly turning into an existential philosophical discussion, isn't it? Well, I could ask you what you're doing with your day after you're done with our palpation study, as I am palpating your knee joint as well as behind the knee. Feel the pulse back there. I'm going to enjoy the less bitter temperatures that we have. Yeah, I think it'd be a nice time for a little walk. I particularly can't wait to get my hands in the soil again. Gardening's not too far off. Should be able to plant onions within next 3 weeks or so. Down, tibia and fibula to the ankle here. Okay. And then down to the metatarsals and the phalanges, just checking each joint. Running down along the foot. Okay. Alright. So that was a whole lot of palpation, wasn't it? Yeah, all palpation. So, if you don't mind, I'd like to take some notes regarding our examination, okay? So I do not recall you mentioning that there were any particular sore or tender spots. Is that correct? Any that you remember? Okay, very good, right? No painful spots. That's good. Okay. Were there any particular spots that were more uncomfortable? Okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, okay, very good. And were there any spots that were more pleasant? Yeah, definitely the head is a good one. And hands, okay. Head and hands. Okay, anything else? I suppose the head goes along with the hands. Okay. Yeah, uncomfortable with the deep abdominal pressure. Yes, that one's kind of a given, but definitely make sure. Write that down. There we go. Okay. And overall, did you feel that the exam went smoothly for you? Okay. All right. And did you feel that it was effective? Okay. All right. Now, do you think in regards to previous examinations that you've had before, was that with the more extended palpation, did you feel it was more effective or less effective for you, rather than just focusing on one area for a short period of time? Okay. And do you have any particular thoughts about why that would be for you personally? Okay. And would you personally believe that you would be able to build a better rapport with your healthcare provider should they give a more thorough palpation as opposed to a less thorough palpation? You think it would be better for that? Okay. Okay, very good. All right. So, on a scale from 1 to 10, how willing would you be to recommend a more thorough palpation to a friend or family member? Okay, very good. And any last further notes regarding our palpation examination today? Very good. All right. So I think that is about everything. Is there anything else I can do for you before we leave? Okay, very good. I appreciate you joining me in this study. It's very great that you are helping us with this research. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a whale of a day and a good rest of your night. Thank you. Goodbye now. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. subscribe.